This is my model airport based off Baltimore Thurgood. It's about time that this gets a refresh, so I'm going to be taking this one down and building a new one. This whole room that Baltimore is in needs a bit of a refresh anyway. It's gotten a bit messy, there's holes in the walls, the paint's peeling, so I think the whole room in general needs a bit of a refresh. But through that, we will also be working on a new Baltimore. So in today's video, we are going to be going through a step-by-step process in how to build a model airport. Taking the old Baltimore apart, you can see how messy the underside of this airport was. It was basically thrown together back in 2018, so hopefully this new version is going to be a lot simpler. I'm going to design it a lot simpler in terms of the structure and everything, so we're going to go through how to do that in a second. But first we need supplies. Now if you're based in the UK, I would of course recommend B&Q. That's essentially the equivalent of Home Depot in America. So if you're in the US, head there or your country's equivalent. When picking the right paint, there's a lot of different colors to choose. The best method I would recommend is going over to Google Earth, finding the airport that you want to base yours off of, essentially color match the paint you're going to get to that airport's color, because the color of the airport will vary based on the type of material that airport uses in real life. For example, concrete is typically a more creamy color when compared to asphalt, which is usually a gray color. But when it comes to the actual paint, just make sure that it's matte, not gloss, and I would highly recommend water-based paint instead of spirit-based paint, as it's just going to make the whole process a lot easier. When it comes to wood, I always get MDF board. The thickness is up to you. I believe I think it's 18 millimeters, which is fairly thick, but of course that way it doesn't bend as easily. And then I also got some of these L brackets for the supports. And so after the room turned from this to this, we then had a carpet put down, and then it was time to work on the new airport. So before you paint, I would recommend getting out a pencil and planning exactly where you want different things to be, and then working out what areas are going to be cut off of the wood. I cut this at home, however you can get the people at B&Q to cut it for you to your preference. Mine is a little bit wonky. I've got this slanted angle to one of my pieces, and so I just got this cut at home, and then I went ahead and painted it. I painted it with 2 coats using this roller here. I went over the sides with a regular paintbrush, and then the flat surfaces I went over it with a roller. As I said, 2 coats, and then I painted the underside as well, just to make it look a bit more presentable. And then once that was done, I had all the pieces ready, including these white pieces you can see down the bottom. I painted them white just to look again more presentable, but those are going to be the supports. And so to support the airport, I'm drilling holes in the wall now to put the L brackets. On top of the L brackets, I'm putting those white pieces of wood just to lengthen the supports, and then the airport can just rest on top of that. Unlike the older Baltimore, I haven't screwed anything into place, so these new pieces just rest on top of the support so I can remove them if I need to. And so after they're in place, I can now start work on the markings. For the markings, I use these Posca pens. These are paint pens, and they vary in size. I use some of them. I use this type. This is the 0.7 to 1 millimeter marker, but I also use some thicker markers, some thinner markers. It all depends on the type of marking I'm drawing at the time. When you get the pens new, you sort of have to shake them and then press them onto just a scrap piece of paper to get the paint flowing, and then they just work like a usual pen after that. So the first marking I'm doing is the dashed marking that separates the gate space from the taxiway space. The way I'm doing this is it's a dashed yellow and black marker, and then I just outline the whole thing in, again, more black. And then I essentially just rinse and repeat until I've done that everywhere where I need it. And also with the ruler, I'm actually holding the ruler upside down. That way I avoid any unnecessary paint bleeding. Once that's done, I can then move on to where I want the gates to be. So I measure them out, and then of course I draw one solid yellow line for the gate center line, and then also the taxiway markings as well. That's just, again, one solid yellow line. And then after that, just to make them stand out a bit better, I then outline them in black. And following that, I then draw the outline of the gates in red. Of course, the actual outline I just sort of do from scratch. There's no set measurements, but I make sure they're all uniform, and I base them off of real airport markings I can find on Google Earth. Essentially, if you need a reference point to any of these markings and how they're drawn, just go to Google Earth, find the airport you're trying to base it off of, and essentially design your markings based off of that. After the gates were complete, I decided I wanted to paint the taxiway area a different color to the gate area. So I did this by using frog tape. Frog tape is really good because it doesn't bleed. If you use something like masking tape, the paint is going to get underneath that and it's going to bleed. So frog tape is really good. Just make sure you press it down really hard along the areas where you don't want paint to get underneath, and it pretty much won't get through. So with that being said, I painted the area that needed painting. I then peeled up the frog tape and then realized that I didn't really like the color I used, so I just put frog tape down again and repainted it. Once that was done, it came out like this. I also painted the surrounding areas in black as well, just to make it look a little bit cleaner. And then I moved onto the runway space. So because I'd painted the taxiway in a different color, I then realized that I needed the taxiways on the runway piece and the runway itself to be that same color. So I went over the runway piece with that same color, and then I placed down frog tape again, as I was going to have a black border in between the taxiway and the grass. So the way I did this is, again, I just placed the frog tape down, really pressed it down on the areas I didn't want the paint to get under, and then anywhere where I needed a curved border, I would essentially just use a scalpel knife, and I would cut those corners out by hand, essentially drawing on that curve using something like a paint can or something circular with a pencil, and then I would just go along that pencil line with a scalpel and cut that out. After that was all done, I took that away to be painted. I did 2 coats of that black paint, and then when that was all done, I just peeled up the frog tape, and you can really see the outline of everything come together. You can see where the taxiways are going to go, where the runway is. All I needed to do was now add the markings and the grass. When trying to find the most accurate markings for your model airport, the best source of information is this. This is of course Google Earth. You can just type in Google Earth to Google and you can get it up for free. This is runway 15 right at Baltimore, and this is essentially what I've used to determine my runway markings. 15 right allocates the runway you're using, so 15 is the heading, and then right will determine whether or not there's a parallel runway. So in this case there will be a 15 left to the left of runway 15 right. But then apart from that, you've got a few other markings. Personally, I'm going to be calling my runway 18, which is just a bit of a play on words, or numbers I guess you could say, for my channel name, which is of course Aviation 18, just because it's not, you know, an accurate depiction of a runway at Baltimore. So I'm just calling my model airport runway 18 just for the hell of it, basically. We then have the threshold markers before that. These not only determine the start and the end of the runway, but also the runway width, depending on the amount of lines you have across here. We then have the runway outline, which is just, of course, a white box, basically outlining the runway. We then have the touchdown markers here. So these two here are the aiming point. So this is the ideal spot an aircraft would land at on the runway, and then you have the touchdown markers here. So basically anywhere within these markers is appropriate for a landing. Moving back to the start of the runway, we have a few things before the threshold markers. This is the run-up area here, so you have a few arrows on here. You can't land in this area, but you can start your takeoff from this piece of runway here, hence why it's called a run-up area. And then this bit here is the blast pad. So the idea of this is it's made out of a different material than the rest of the runway, where if an aircraft overshoots the runway, this material will break apart and essentially stop the aircraft in an incredible amount of speed. Of course, this is only used in emergencies, but it's a very vital piece of safety equipment at an airport. Then you've got hold short lines and any other marking. Of course, you can go over here and check gate markings and everything. This is of course the Southwest Terminal at Baltimore, and you can see all the center lines and the outlines of the gates and the taxiway markings and everything. Just essentially play around with Google Earth, whatever airport you're trying to base your model airports off. Go and check it out on Google Earth and just have some fun, basically. You don't need to get it right, of course, there's no test. You're just making your model airport how you want it to be, so it doesn't even have to be realistic. You can make it any way you want. However, if you're trying to be realistic, this is the best source of information. So I went ahead in pencil and penciled out all the markings, again referencing off Google Earth. Any pencil markings that essentially went outside the lines, I just painted over them again with a little brush, and then I went over those markings, the runway markings in white, and of course the taxiway markings in yellow. And then when all the white markings were in place, I then went along the outside of the markings in black. That just makes the markings look a bit sharper and it just looks a lot more professional. For the taxiway turns, I had to get a bit creative. I ended up getting a disused glass. I smashed that and then used one of the curved pieces to then trace around that outline, the black outlines, and then I filled in the middle with yellow. That's the way I got around the corners of the taxiways. Then it was just a case of adding some details and removing any imperfections, also adding a hold short line, and then we were done with markings. I then had to make some measurements for the grass, and my method for grass is to get one of these rolls of modeling grass. You can get them from your local hobby store or online. I'll try and put some links in the description below, but I cut them to size and then essentially just rounded off the edges and stuck them down using Pritt stick. And when everything's said and done, that does conclude my model airport. There are of course more advanced methods of building model airports. You can get really sophisticated with terrain and markings and also weathering as well. But for me, this simple method works well, and it works well for airport updates. And so with that, that does conclude today's video on how to build a model airport. If you end up following this video when you build your own airports, feel free to send it over Instagram or something like that. I would love to take a look. And with that, I want to thank you very much for watching today's video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.